At the end of Rise of Skywalker, we see the destruction of the Sith Eternals fleet and the defeat of the Final Order. Now, each of these Star Destroyers has been equipped with a planet-killing superweapon, and these were set to be dispersed across the galaxy to usher in Sidious's Final Order and restore his rule. Despite this, we noticed that some of the Star Destroyers were sent to places that we may consider not exactly important. For example, Endor, Bespin, and even Jakku. Now, this was more than likely just a sentimental revisit to some of the more familiar locations that we've seen from the films. However, it got me thinking that maybe this isn't the case. Maybe instead, these were going to be amongst the first targets of Palpatine's Final Order. So on a lot of these worlds, excluding Bespin, there isn't really anything of value. Endor, for example, is a primitive jungle forest world. Jakku is literally just a graveyard of old ships, where people scavenge to stay alive. There's not a lot of people there, there's not a lot of resources there, so honestly, it just doesn't really make that much sense why the Final Order would send a ship to go to that planet, especially being one of the first ships that they sent. Now, the thing that all of these locations do have in common is that they are all places where Palpatine's original empire suffered a defeat. Endor is of course where the second Death Star was destroyed and Palpatine was defeated. Jakku was where the Imperials were finally forced to surrender to the New Republic. And as for Bespin, we know that shortly following the Battle of Endor, the people of Cloud City were in rebellion and managed to regain the freedom from the Empire. It's my belief that this was the first goal of Palpatine's Final Order, and it was to wipe the slate clean, remove any traces of his previous empire's failure. You see, this was supposed to be Palpatine's crowning achievement, and to have a reminder of his past failures just wasn't acceptable. For one, Palpatine's a Sith. He thrives off vengeance and hatred. For this reason, it stands to make quite a lot of sense that having these locations exist were going to annoy him. The people of Bespin, even the Ewoks, these were people who ultimately contributed towards his demise and the overthrow of his empire, and for this reason they could not be spared and their worlds had to burn and be destroyed. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Palpatine is quite a strategic person. I highly doubt that he would put his vendetta against, say, the Ewoks higher than actually re-establishing control. And that's when it got me thinking that from a tactical perspective, it actually makes a great deal of sense to target these worlds. We remember the speech given where the rebellion survives on hope, and that's what these places represented at the end of the day. Even if Palpatine won the Battle of Exegol and moved to take control of the galaxy successfully, in decades' time, these worlds would still exist. There would still be scuttled Star Destroyers on Jakku and Death Star ruins in the orbit of Endor. And people who remembered overthrowing the Empire and hearing that glorious moment where Palpatine had died, where he'd been defeated. And this is just not acceptable for the Final Order. Because this provides hope. They are monuments proving that Palpatine and his empire were not all powerful, that they can be defeated and that they can be overthrown. And Palpatine can't let that exist. Palpatine needed to cement his rule. Anything that even suggested weakness could not be allowed to exist. And I think that means quite a lot. If Palpatine really did want to wipe the slate, then the first thing he needs to get rid of is the traces of his failure. Like it or not, the Empire was defeated by the New Republic. Ergo, if you want to get rid of the New Republic, you also have to get rid of all traces of the Empire. We should also make a little side note that the three worlds that I mentioned, Endor, Jakku and Bespin, are generally speaking more on the outskirts of the galaxy, excluding Jakku, which is located in the western reaches of the Mid-Rim. However, they are all easily accessible to the Sith fleet from the unknown regions. Therefore, it's very, very likely that these were just the first stops from leaving Exegol, and therefore very convenient targets. Realistically, I believe that Palpatine's plan was likely to target many more worlds than just these three: Mandalore, Yavin, and especially Coruscant. once the rest of the fleet had made it out of Exegol and into the known galaxy. There's a lot of worlds out there that represent Imperial failure, that represent people overthrowing their tyrants. And for this reason, there's going to be quite a lot of worlds on Palpatine's checklist. Now, would he have destroyed all of them? Maybe not. Maybe destroying worlds such as Coruscant was even to him out of the question because it was very valuable and very close to his heart. But I find it incredibly likely that if Palpatine did succeed, there would have been dozens upon dozens of worlds that would have faced immediate destruction. At the end of the day, the galaxy has a lot of planets, and to somebody as cold as Palpatine, destroying a few dozen of them really doesn't make that much of a difference. He needs a new galaxy to begin his eternal rule. But what do you guys think? Did Palpatine intend to destroy these worlds? And what other worlds do you believe that he would have targeted where he'd previously suffered defeats? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please remember to like, share and sub, as it is really appreciated and it helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @TheLoreGuy and tick the bell to get regular updates. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a great day and staying safe, and I'll see you next time.